I need bourbon for my blues, a special love to set the mood, hearts and hearts that we must choose. So I'm killing bourbon for my blues. Times are tough and love is rare, with a broken heart, with an empty stare. Inspiration, what it takes, liquid love to break the hate. I need a home where I get in. From a saint I turn to sin. My sorrows drown, I drink it down. How many days I'm giving praise. I need bourbon for my blues. The only way to win is lose. A poison hearts that we must choose. So I'm killing bourbon for my blues. Wreck my dreams, wreck my life. Wreck my body, lose my wife. Price I pay to sing the saddest song. Bleeding hearts are bleeding out until it's all long gone. There's a demon, she is tempting me. Gives me a thirst so desperately. And now I just can't seem to stop this train. I crash myself into a river of pain. I need bourbon for my blues, a special love to set the mood, poison hearts that we must choose. So I'm killing bourbon for my blues. I need bourbon for my blues. If I drink enough, I'll make the news. For this guitar I will abuse. I think it's time to turn me loose.
And welcome to the official Off the Cuff on the Bluff with your host, Dean Franklin. That's me. Hope everybody's doing well tonight, staying warm, staying out of the weather, staying off the streets, and everybody's doing well. Tonight's guest is John Covington, and let me find a few things here real quick. He was born and raised right here in Shelby County. Now he's running for the District 1 seat of the Shelby County Commission. And that area covers parts of northern and eastern Shelby County, including areas like parts of Collierville, the town of Arlington, Lakeland, and Millington, and the neighborhoods of Eads, Fisherville area, Raleigh, and parts of Cordova and the Appling area. And if I'm wrong on any of that, John can correct me. Encompassing various neighborhoods and zip codes in the eastern suburbs and near the Mississippi River. Let me get to this next one. Let me show you a couple of things. You see behind me real quick. That banner was made by my brother. He has a business in Bartlett called Summit Graphic Designs Memphis. And as you can see, let me get out of the way here. It's pretty cool. He's a very talented man, does a lot of good work on some things. The intro song that you heard on the countdown timer is by a local musician named Adam Levin, and he lives just a couple of doors down. He's got a fairly new album out, and you can listen to it wherever you stream your music. So take a listen to Adam's stuff. He plays all over Memphis and goes different parts of the country and goes to San Martin and hangs out on the beach. Has a great gig. Like I said, we're talking with John Covington tonight, and this is one of the things I took from his Facebook page. Like John, I met at a Shelby County GOP meeting where I've met a lot of conservative people. Same thing, conservative minds, like minds, where we all convene together. So without any further ado, let's bring John in.
Hey, sir, am I here?
You're here. You're here.
Well, hey, my friend, thank you so much for having me. So this is the inaugural first broadcast, correct?
This is the one. I've done a couple of playing around things and this, that, and the other, whatever. There was the ban the restaurant list because they were feeding the Memphis Safe Task Force and the National Guard.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I did a little short on that one. And then I did a kind of an introduction to myself and this, that, and the other, or whatever. But this is the official first live podcast.
Well, it's a real honor to be here, Dean. And, you talked about we met at a GOP event, but, in my role as vice president of the Police Association, I work with, or you could say, battle with Memphis City Council quite a bit to try to get, raises for law enforcement and first responders.
Right.
And, we've had a couple of things downtown where we kind of sent a call out for people to come stand with first responders. And you've made it to all those. And so I appreciate that because you're always there. You stand for the right things, you stand up for the right things, and you fight for the right things. A lot of people just want to be keyboard warriors, but that's not you. You're somebody who gets out there and gets involved. And I appreciate that. I wish more people did, actually.
Well, I appreciate it. I've always not been a real fan of politics.
Oh, who is, man?
I know. But I would always, before I met Justin Johnson and Kristen New, I went up to the KWAM one day and they were walking out, and I talked with them for a little bit, and they invited me to a meeting. And so I went to that, and even though I still keyboard warrior just a little bit, I try to get more involved now since I met them and have met great people through the GOP here in Shelby County.
Well, I'm glad that you did. And let me tell you, I did not, as a young boy running around, I wanted to be an astronaut. I did not dream of getting involved in politics. I did play cops and robbers and have that dream. But, I got kind of drawn into this. And I've posted this story before because, you know, to get involved publicly,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
you put yourself out there, people are going to come after you, and that's fine. You know, we're grown ups, we can take it. You know, we got thick skin. But the thing you lose is time, you know, with your family, with your,
Right.
I've got a 6-year-old daughter. So, you know, I don't go into this thing lightly. You know, you go into it, at least my thinking is to do a job and to do it right, and not do it for ego, not do it for publicity, but to get in there and try to make things better and try to make things safer. Because Dean, you know as well as I do, Shelby County's on the tipping point. You know, I feel like we could go either way. Memphis, to me, thank God the Memphis Safe Task Force is here
Right.
holding the line. But, you know, over the long term, they won't be here forever. But Shelby County municipalities, you know, we have to stand firm, you know, for our traditional values, for law and order, for, you know, for faith, for having a voice. And, you know, there's a lot. So to get out here and do it is not, I don't go into it with any illusions. Let me
Oh,
say
I'm sure. So you were born and raised here in Memphis, right?
I was, and it really shaped me because my parents came up from Ripley, Mississippi. And by the way, a little prayer for Tippah County down there. They're without electricity, without power. My parents are down there, and they're doing fine. But they came up out of Ripley, Mississippi, and moved to the big city of Memphis. And they went to the brand new place to be, which was Parkway Village. You haven't heard that in a long time, that Parkway Village was the place to be, but it was in the late 50s and early 60s.
Right.
And it was, you know, let me tell you, Dean, growing up, it was Mayberry. You know, we rode our bikes, we played, and, you know, it was the old thing too, that the kids get out of the house, and by the time the street lights came on, that foot better be on the porch, you know. But
Right.
we weren't outside playing video games, all that stuff. We were out playing all day, and it was
Right.
awesome. But it was in 1977. My mom had gone to the store, and my sister and I was 7. No, I was 8 at the time. She's 7 years older. I'm not good with math, so people can figure that out. But we heard a bang, and we ran out, and our neighbor next door, and then this had been, as I say, like Mayberry up to this point.
Right.
Our neighbor was standing in his front yard with a gunshot wound, blood
Oh,
pouring
good
down.
gosh.
Exactly. My mom got back at that time. She worked at a hospital. She wasn't a nurse, but she was administration side of it.
Right.
But she ran up, tackled him. This is when you learn your parents are superheroes. You know, my mom, she just took charge, you know, held a hand on the bleeding and called for us to call 911, and we did. So what had happened is again, this community, people didn't even lock their doors at that point. I mean, it was still kind of that mentality.
Right.
And somebody came to our neighbors. His name was Mr. Charles, and knocked on his door and said they had run out of gas and they needed some help. He answered the door. They pulled out a gun, robbed him, and shot him, and then took off.
Wow.
And let me tell you, the police, to me, it seems like seconds. The whole neighborhood was bathed in blue. They got Mr. Charles. He survived. They caught the guy. And it was within seconds. And I tell you, I took 2 things away from that. One, my sense of innocence, I guess, that
Right.
the world, safe, warm, good place, was gone because of what. But also, I saw the heroes that came and restored order. I mean,
Right.
just like that. And my mom was part of it too. I learned the strength of my mother, but also, and so I never forgot that. And it stayed with me. But I tell you, it shaped my sense of you cannot take security, safety, you know, a peaceful life for granted, you know, because it can be gone in an instant if you're not forever vigilant. And that shaped me completely. And so I ended up becoming a teacher. I saw in the little bio you had retired teacher, because I went to U of M. Well, I went to White Station, graduated, went to U of M, and ended up getting a degree in history because I wasn't thinking about making a living.
Right.
Just what I loved was history. My goal was to get a PhD, but I tell you, by the 90s, the time I was in there, the academia had become so far left that you couldn't learn about history. It had to be all about race and gender.
When was
Marx
that?
is in the mid 90s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, all that, this PC stuff and woke
Right.
stuff, it started in colleges and kind of grew out.
Right.
And so my goal had been to teach history, but I just couldn't put up with it, you know, because I just wanted to deal with facts.
Right.
And so I ended up becoming a teacher, and I taught at U of M part-time. I taught at a couple at St. Agnes for a little bit, Kirby High School, but I ended up doing most of my teaching at St. George's in Collierville, which is a fantastic school. But I tell you, I got to my mid-30s. And did you go through a midlife crisis? I know you're not even 30 yet, Dean.
I'm twice that plus one. I don't know. I've been married 3 times, so I guess the third time was a charm. I know the third time was a charm. And
there you go. You know
and,
it. That's right.
and so I don't know. I don't have a Corvette. I don't have anything like that. And this is my new hobby. So,
well, my midlife crisis was, people, if you become a teacher, everybody says whatever, you can't complain about anything because they always say, well, you get summers off. You could say, my leg got blown off. Well, what are you worried about? You get summers off. You know, just everybody's
right.
But teachers need those summers off because it's hard work. And so I got to the point and I saw what it really took to you have to have a fire to do it and do it well.
Right.
And there were so many teachers around me who had that. And I realized I was not fulfilled because I tell you, then I went back to 8 years old when those police officers came on that scene, and that never left me. And I decided, old man here, late 30s, to go to the Memphis Police Academy and go through it. And part of the reason was they put me in charge of the yearbook. I don't know if you ever had to do a yearbook, but I'd rather be shot at than do another yearbook. So that's the joke. But I went there, and a bunch of people in their 20s I was competing with. You know, we'd run the races or whatever, and these kids 22's like, I beat you, old man, or I beat you, Covington. I'm like, I'm old enough to be your dad. I would hope you would beat me in this race. But I happened to meet my wife at that academy as well. So which it was a good move regardless of what I did. But I graduated. I became a patrol officer, and guess where they sent me? Parkway Village.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't back home.
Yeah. You get to pick, you give 3 choices, and I did not pick Mount Moriah Precinct or Parkway Village.
Right.
I think it was Crump Station and Tillman, U of M area, and one other I can't remember. But they put me on midnights at Mount Moriah. Somebody said, "Who did you piss off?" I said, well, I don't know, but it turned out I loved it. But I was right back where I grew up, and I tell you, in the time we had moved out after what happened.
Yeah.
A few years after that, when I was growing up, and 20 years later, it was unrecognizable. War zone. Total war zone. And it was heartbreaking. And, but there were a lot of still really good families there, kids, parents, but crime had infested everything. And it broke my heart. And, it was, again, a reminder of how quickly you can lose a sense of decency, safety, community. It can be gone like that.
Right.
And to me, it was politicians and so forth who didn't care, who didn't recognize crime, who put ideology before common sense. And my fear is, we've seen it spread across Memphis. And one of the main reasons I'm running, I have a little girl who's 6. I married a slightly younger woman. And that's why I'm 56 with a 6-year-old. But it's the greatest blessing of my life. But we moved out to Arlington because I wanted her to grow up and keep the idyllic, peaceful place and not lose it like I did. And because my parents got run out. We moved from Parkway Village area over to U of M. My father got mugged at Poplar Plaza in the 80s. You just can't escape it.
Right.
And then they moved to East Memphis, the White Station, Poplar area. And then we started having car break-ins. And so they moved to Cordova. Well, Cordova doesn't have any crime problem. Oh, wait.
No, wait. Yeah.
And so, within a few years, they started hearing gunshots at night. And so they've gone back to Ripley, Mississippi. They've been run out. And I refuse to be run out.
Right.
Uh, this is
How long?
my home. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is my home. And it's one of the reasons I decided to, throw my hand in to run, because I've just seen in the stakes are too high. And again, I have selfish reasons. I have a little girl. I want her to grow up and be proud to be from this area, and come here and, whatever profession she decides to make her mark. And I refuse to be run off. I refuse to run. We're making our stand.
Now, how long have you lived out in Arlington?
Arlington. It was 2018. What happened when my wife and I got together? She was an officer in Midtown, and about the second or third time we ran into somebody in Kroger that she had arrested, I said, no, we're not going to do this. And then when we decided to have a family, I mean, it was a no-brainer. What are we going to do? I'm sorry if I offend anybody. Go to the Memphis schools. I mean, or now the Shelby County schools. That just wasn't an option. And so we decided to give her, this great foundation. Arlington was where we made our home, and it's been fantastic, but I don't want to lose it.
Right. Well, the reason I asked was because I had heard from one or two people that you had just moved out there, and that's why you were running for District 1 seat. And I know, had anybody done any just basic research like I did, because I saw a post that you'd made, I think it was mid 2024, about your decision to run for District 1, that you'd been out in Arlington since 2018, and I did the math, and that's like 8 years. So that wasn't just moved out there.
Well, when you don't have the facts on your side, you tend to you try to attack the part. Yeah, and that's fine. It is what it is. It's just that side of politics. But the other part is it too, because I was a patrol officer, and then I got involved with our Memphis Police Association.
Right.
And we're about 600 officers short right now, and we lost them. We were defunding police before defunding police became cool, if you can imagine that.
All right.
Because back in it was pre-2016, around that time, they cut pensions for officers and then health care for retirees. So imagine you worked your whole life, and we had some retirees on cancer treatments who got their health care cut. I mean, it's immoral, Dean, and it was both parties that did it. It was just shocking to me. And so I led an effort. We got 120,000 signatures. We did a referendum, got something on the ballot, and got all that restored. So we're slowly trying to rebuild the department, but we've never really recovered because 500 officers left. When all that happened. But it also taught me that, and everybody told us we were crazy to try. So if you stand for the right thing and you've got it in your heart, and you've got a just cause, don't listen to the negativity. Don't listen to the naysayers. Get out there and make a difference.
Right.
And we were able to do it. Yeah. And we were able to do it for firefighters and police officers. So it changed my life. And now, as a result of that, I've ended up being vice president. I'm no longer on the streets. That was less stressful, Dean, because I deal with politicians, as I say, and all these trying to get better retirements, better pay, these things for officers. But, it's just, and I see so many elected people who are not prepared, who don't take it seriously, who don't put in the work.
Right.
And it's frustrating. And said, I know I can work. I was like, people may be smarter than me, but nobody was going to work harder than me. So,
right. Well, talk just a little bit about, you still can't do behind the badge at KWAM right now, can you?
No, I can't.
Okay. But specifically, what was behind the badge about? That was both. I mean, that was about law enforcement and firefighters, correct?
Yeah. The Police Association and Fire Association, and Todd Starnes, who's awesome. We all love.
Yes,
Todd.
he is.
And he reached out and gave us the opportunity to have a show on KWAM. And the whole idea of the show was to humanize first responders and police officers, because these are not superheroes. These are just real people who are called upon to do superhuman things sometime, or to show superhuman bravery. And we wanted to just kind of show that these are just real folks with families, with lives, senses of humor. I mean, from every walk of life you could imagine, and just tell stories and give some insight into things. one of the things that drives me crazy, you know, you're watching TV shows and they always read them the rights when they arrest them.
Right.
That's the big dramatic moment. And even now, you know, you arrest people. So you didn't read me my rights. We don't read people their rights when you arrest them, because that's only if you're being interrogated, and the investigators don't want us doing that. So that's just one of those small things. This is public misconceptions. So you
Right.
can imagine when something big happens, that a lot of times the public just doesn't understand the reality of the work. And a lot of it's shaped by TV or movies. It's not realistic what you see. And so we were just trying to make people see it from the inside.
Well, and we're going to get into that as we go through and talk more about you running and everything else like that.
Sure.
But before we do, talk to us about what happened with Elon Musk, the Musk Foundation.
Oh yeah. So this was an amazing story. So we're sitting around the office one day down at the Memphis Police Association, and I get a call from somebody pretty high up in the Shelby County government. They said, "You're about to get a phone call from Elon Musk's assistant who wants to give money to your charitable foundation. It's not a scam." Of course, when somebody tells me it's not a scam, I immediately think, what kind of scam is this? But I trusted this person. 2 minutes later, I get a call from somebody with the city. And they say, "Hey, you're about to get a call from Elon Musk's assistant. It's not a scam. Take the call." And then I get one more call from another charitable foundation. Well, a few minutes later, the phone rings and this young lady gets on the phone. She's like, "Hey, I'm calling from the Elon Musk Foundation." I said, "And it's not a scam." She's like, "Right." She's like, "Everybody thinks it's like, but Elon operates in a way that he moves fast. He doesn't go through a lot of red tape." And so what he was looking for was local organizations to support here in Shelby County. And he came across my name and Memphis Police Association. So here's the offer they offered me. How crazy. They said, "We want to send you $50,000 to your charitable foundation." Our charitable foundation supports officers and their families, and then programs that build, like, you know, when officers teaching kids or coaching them and so forth, things like that. And he said, and she said, "And no strings attached." She said, "Just at the end of the year to show us how you use the money." And I said, "And?" She's like, "There's no and." The check will be there tomorrow. And it was. It was incredible. And again, she said the same thing. She's like, "You know, when my boss tells me he wants something done, I get it done because he wants it done that day." And she said, "We just need to get your information to get it to you as soon as possible." It was there the next day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we used some of it. I don't know if you saw in the news, there's a retired officer who had a hole in his roof.
Yes. I was going to ask you about him.
Yeah. We just got it fixed the day before the storm hit.
Right.
A neighbor reached out to me. So many of these officers are proud and they don't want to ask for help. And he'd been retired. He'd gotten scammed. It happens, you know, some elderly folks. And he had this big hole in his roof. And so a neighbor reached out. I got in touch with Carnival Memphis. They gave a donation. Memphis Police Association gave a donation. And then I did a GoFundMe, and that was Memphis and Shelby County people raised $5,000. And then My Town Roofing, I want to give them a shout out. A lot of retired officers work there. They gave us a cut rate. And so just the other day, the day before the storm hit, they got it done. So it's patched. He's warm. He's fine. Last time I saw him, he had his patched roof. He had a nice warm place, and he was watching TV, and he couldn't be more happy. And
that's awesome.
And we were able to do that thanks to Elon Musk. We put some of that money towards that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you can see, I'm popping up people from the chat or whatever.
Oh yeah, people to man Scott the Cat. Scott the Cat is one of my biggest supporters. He's this. Well, some might say fat. I would just say big boned tomcat that is my daughter's best friend, and so that is they are playmates, and she loves him. And apparently, he's gotten his own Facebook page, and you know, I can't control him. He posts all kinds of stuff.
That's pretty cool.
I'm just glad he's a supporter.
Right, wrangle that cat. All right, let's get into your run for District 1, Shelby County. All right, we've established you're a former Memphis police officer and former MPA leader. Well, still the vice president right now, correct?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
All right, and you're running for Shelby County Commission, seat 1, District 1, or whatever.
That's correct. Yeah.
Who was in that chair? Who was in that seat?
Amber Mills is she's termed out. So,
okay.
She's 8 years. And
right.
She's finishing up, so she's not allowed to run again. So it's an open seat. And, as I say, it covers Millington and Arlington, Shelby Forest, and unincorporated areas. We get a little sliver of Bartlett, a little sliver of Cordova.
Right.
We go into near Fraser. I mean, it's a big area with a lot of folks. In,
Right.
but,
Right. Right. Cool. All right. And in 1 minute or less, tell everybody that's watching, what do you bring from law enforcement that actually is going to help everyday citizens by running for this position?
Public safety, because the answer is more police equals safer communities. Right now, Shelby County is down about 900 deputy sheriffs and patrolling deputies. And so you've got to fix that. So that's the number one thing. Everything else is built upon that. And then on top of that, I want to see accountability. I want to see lower taxes. And, you hear this a lot. People say, well, we should get an audit done. Make your commissioners work. I've been through the Memphis budget. You don't need to hire somebody to do an audit of a budget. Put your commissioners to work. And the last thing is growth. I'm all in favor of growth, but you want to do it the right way. We all live out here to escape big city problems. We're not trying to bring them with us. And so when greed becomes the driving thing, you get big city problems. So growth is fine as long as it supports our traditional values. And so those are the main things, but it's all built on a foundation of public safety. Awesome.
So you were a patrol officer at first, right?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. So, and through the MPA, you were involved in negotiating pay and benefits through the MPA, the health benefits and this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Each year we negotiate with the city and wrangle over pay and
say it ain't so.
And benefits, right? They find the money to buy hotels, but does a hotel enter 911 when you call? I don't think so.
No.
But whatever. And so, and that's been a struggle, but we've tried to get them to see. In 2011, we had the most officers we've ever had, 2,480. And guess what, Dean? We had the lowest major violent crime in the history of the city. You started to see cuts in pay and benefits after that, and now we're down to about 1,900. And so it has really had a huge impact and made the city less safe. So we're trying to get them to understand we got to pay these folks to come do this tough work.
One of the guys that's been helping me with this, everything, him and Daniel have been helping me out so much. Mr. Chase Matheson, he's the Patriot Punk. And he's got this massive 14-inch, beautiful platinum mohawk.
Well, you can't go wrong with that.
No. But I popped the question up on the screen, and he says he has a question about growth versus impact fees.
Is that like charges levied for on developers? I think is my understanding. I'm no expert yet and all that, and so. Sorry, this is
that the cat?
My fat cat jumped off something in the house. Sure. Well, I think you need to be supportive of growth in that sense. When you've looked at it and said this is something that's going to work and benefit, especially things like infrastructure and so forth, you got to do it, and you got to work with developers too to do it right and make it efficient. Because I'm not a believer in fees or taxes or government getting in the way.
Right.
I am a believer in drawing the line when, this is not to put the hate on anybody, but we've got a vape shop in Arlington, and I wasn't real excited to see that. Nothing against anybody who owns it or whatever, but to me, I don't know if that reflects kind of the values that we get. Nothing against vaping, but you see what I'm saying? There's certain kinds of places that, I don't want to see 20 liquor stores here tomorrow. Now we have 20 Mexican restaurants. I'll say that here.
Yeah, there's never a lack of Mexican restaurants.
Yeah. And so, it's all about balance, and we've got to cut this budget, to the bone. And this drives me crazy. Okay. So the big thing is the jail. I don't know if anybody has asked about that, about needing a new jail. One way that you deal with jail overcrowding, you don't break the law. How about that?
Exactly.
What a concept. Now I get it. And no jail should ever be Club Med. But also understand this jail has some problems. But, I've heard some others say that they supported raising taxes to build a jail. No, I totally reject that, especially when you've got a budget so full of pork. You've got a current Shelby County Commissioner under indictment for illegally taking funds that were supposed to be used for grants and, allegedly getting them funneled. So misuse of public money.
Right.
Come on now. If you want to talk to me about taxes, you need to go somewhere else to talk about that. Let's cut it to the bone, because there's the needs and the wants, and we have needs. Let's cover our needs, but let's have some serious discussion about the wants.
Well, maybe they could take the hotel and turn it into the new regional one.
Right? Wouldn't that make sense? I mean,
it's right there, or turn it into the new jail.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it makes sense. Some things, I don't know. The more police, the more deputies you have, the safer it's going to be. And what does that lead to? More growth. More growth means more tax base, and that's how you grow. Sometimes I think Memphis, and I don't want to see Shelby County municipalities fall into this, which is, you start building the swimming pool before you fix the roof of the house, right? They want to do these big projects. They get all excited. Let's put the hot tub in. It's like, well, we don't have bathrooms in the house yet. So let's get those basics done that we need. Then we'll talk about some of the frills, So,
right.
I'm a small government guy. I don't believe in, I think in cutting taxes, that's how you spur growth, truly.
Right, so. Right. Well, I'm a big fan of Monty Fritz, and I'm probably only one of several people that have a yard sign right now. I got it early. And his slogan is liberty and less government. I think that's a great slogan.
There you go. I mean, who can disagree with that? Though I know a lot of people who do disagree with that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
New York City is a perfect example. But, yeah, I mean, it's that to me, that the government should be there to make sure, just like police officers on the scene, we're there to secure the scene, so the firefighters can come in and do the work. Government offers that basic security. But beyond that, government is way too involved in our lives, especially our schools. Imagine as parents, I don't want to be dictated to about my daughter's education.
Right.
Teach her the basics, teach her how to think, but don't teach her ideology.
Right.
You're a popular man there.
That's
my wife. I'm not here.
It's my, no, my wife's in the other room. No, that's my dad calling. I'd given him the link, and I guess he's calling to figure out, how do I do it? My dad, I'm blessed to still have both my parents. My mom's 80, my dad's 83. He'll be 84 in March. So, I try to figure some of this stuff out, and I know some of it goes over my head, and I know if it goes over my head, it kind of goes over him, but, I'll just he'll have to catch me on the next one.
I think my 6-year-old knows more about technology than I do.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Look, whenever you were both in the police department and the MPA, were there any kind of internal problems that you personally helped resolve, or things that affected morale, fairness, or trust?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a big part of, my job is on the morale thing is simple, things like advocating for officers, giving them a voice at the table.
Right.
That's what's so front. Police officers are type A personalities, right? They go out there, you give them a lot of discretion, and to not give them a voice is really crushing to them. And so that's one of the roles we play. So we can sit there and bring their voice to the table. And so when they have ideas about allowing beards, for instance, or uniform ideas, or let's say tattoos, some people don't like it, but tattoos are kind of, even grandmothers have tattoos at this point. We're recruiting a lot of ex-military who have tattoos. And so we worked out in the past, they had to wear these sleeves during the hottest months of summer. Now we set up a program where the tattoos get vetted to make sure that they're not gang related or anything like that, or offensive. And so what's offensive? It's what the Supreme Court said about pornography. I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it.
Right.
So if it's like something, F your mom, okay, that's maybe a little much. You might want to cover that. Pretty much everything else is fine. And so little things like that go a long way. And so that's been the biggest part. But I tell you, restoring the insurance and pensions, that had the biggest boost, because that was impacting people's lives and their futures. And, that's a fight that continues. And get this blows me away. Shelby County does not have line of duty or medical retirements for officers that are injured in the line of duty. Can you believe that? So after a certain time, they're cut loose. Memphis has that you get a pension for the rest of your life if you're injured catastrophically. And one of my promises is, if by the grace of God and the support of the citizens I get elected, I'm going to make that a main criteria to get that restored. Because even if you don't do it because it's morally right, do it because you're selfish. Because if you do that, it's easier to recruit and keep people. And the more good people we have, the safer we'll be and the more prosperous we'll be.
Right. When you were on the force or where you're at right now, did you ever see people passed over for promotions because of favoritism, or being friends with the upper brass, instead of merit?
Well,
I mean, I know you don't want to throw anybody under the bus, and I'm going to be honest.
Our system is set in such a way. So up to sergeant, you have to promote and rank order of a test, and seniority plays a part. But once you get up to major and above, then people can be selected just off a list randomly. So patrol and sergeant, part of our memorandum of understanding keeps that nepotism, that favoritism out of it, and it rewards being on longer. But yeah, I have seen that, and it's frustrating because you want the best people around you, and in a leadership role, I've said this to a few politicians. If you're sitting there with your advisors or your team and you're the smartest person in the room, you're the dumbest person in the room, because you need to put around you smart, capable people and people that will disagree with you. I hate that yes man stuff, because, don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Tell me what I need to know. I'm strong enough. I'm a big boy. Let's go back and forth a little bit. I want to be challenged. That's how you get real solutions. Dean, did you pop off? Oh, for a second there, I thought I was going to take over the show. I was like,
No,
hey,
well, yeah, welcome to the John Show.
Yeah, right. But yeah, to your point, I hate that. I was reading, and I'm digressing a little bit. I just finished a book, 1776. So what was that about? Well, it was about 1776 and George Washington, that tough year he had when it all almost fell apart. But one of the things in the book that was interesting, one of the strengths that Washington and his people had was that the Brits, if you were a lower level and you had an idea, nobody was going to listen to it. But Washington had a lot of these younger folks and people from all over the country. He took every idea, and some of them turned out to be brilliant. And so that was using your team effectively. And so our army was started being built on merit, as opposed to paying for your commission like the British were. And it kind of stuck with me. I was like, once again, Washington had that vision to understand how to lead.
Right. You were talking about higher up positions, sergeants, and this, that, and the other, whatever. Are there officers in higher ranking positions that maybe a sergeant could do? I mean, I don't have a lot of police officer friends. I have a few. I've had interactions with some on the streets. I mean, I forget what it was. One day I had a officer on the street talking to him or whatever, and I asked him a particular question. He clammed up, shook his head no, and pointed down at his body cam. Exactly. Because, well, I mean, I'm sure they heard what I said, but I mean, yeah. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know who drives the city mayor around. I don't know who drives CJ Davis around, or this, that, and the other. I don't know, is it an upper level command staff, or is it like the sergeant level, or should it be like a sergeant level or something like that instead of
this kind of people, they kind of get picked for that. But I'll say this, let's say this hypothetically, or is just my opinion generally. I think any organization suffers to some degree when there is a gulf in time between people who run it and people who are doing it day to day in the trenches.
Right.
And if you had more people closer to the trenches, not all, but the more of that you can have, the better off you'll be, because because if you policed in the 90s, and then you run it, things change so much, in that time. And it's really easy to kind of get out of step. And so I think it's important to, my wife sneaking in to get a snack. She didn't think I would see her, but it's important to keep that connection to what's day to day going on, because it changes so much. And I tell you, we got a whole new generation of officers.
Right.
It's different, man. It's different. I try not to be the old man, get off my yard, guy,
Well, you can do that now. You're in Arlington.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. But to me, it's a constant. I try to engage with these younger officers to find out what's most important to them. Is it pension? Is it pay? Or is it more time off? They seem more interested in that, which is fine. And so keeping a connection with the next generation, especially in a job like this. And then the situation on the street changes so much, because, man, I'll tell you, there was a time when people had respect for police officers.
Right.
That's gone. That's gone. And I blame politicians. I blame the media for a big part of that, undercutting
Absolutely.
and destroying that respect. And now there was a time when people would never throw a punch at an officer, or much less fire a shot. Today, they'll shoot at you as quick as look at you.
I know.
It's the most dangerous it's ever been out there. And a lot of these are juveniles. They don't care.
So you said we're about 600 officers, police, MPD down, and 900 to 1,000 sheriff's deputies?
Well, between the correctional deputies and the patrol deputies, it's around 800, 900 is somewhere in there. And so when you're that low, man, it has an impact.
Right.
And people say, well, why is it so low? Well, the media, the politicians tear them up, undercut them, attack them. The police officers are always the bad guys. So for example, part of my job, let's say there's an officer involved shooting.
Right.
I make the scene of those, and I'm an advocate. And the way the city of Memphis works, if you are involved in that, and there's a chance that criminal charges could be brought against you, not even if you didn't do anything wrong, are you going to be sued? The city does not cover you legally. We do that, which is a shock when you think about it. These people go out with all this liability.
Right.
But I tell you, I'll go out to these scenes and we make sure that they're able to speak to an attorney and protect their rights. It's not that they're getting special treatment, but in today's age, making sure they're not treated differently just because they are police. They have rights.
Right.
Because quite frankly, we've got a media that's so quick to say the officers did something wrong. We got a DA that's really quick, to come after them, and you look at that nationally. It's a scary time, and my hat's off. I give some of these younger officers grief, this new generation, but thank God for them that there are some willing to come do this job.
Right.
And,
Right.
man, it's not easy, and it ain't like it used to be. The kids used to wave at you when you drive through. You're just as apt to get a middle finger these days,
Or the barrel of a gun.
or the barrel of a gun. But I tell you, the Memphis Safe Task Force has been awesome. We opened our doors to the National Guard to come use the bathroom, get a drink of water, just hang out, just need a little break. They are amazing people. I've gotten a chance to meet so many of the marshals and the Homeland Security. They've done an incredible job. And I don't know if you saw the pictures of them out there helping stranded motorists.
I haven't seen those.
Oh, man. It's all there's a lot of posts on Facebook. I shared some of them, but dude, it's amazing, man. I love that. And that's who these people really are. They're here to help. And thank God they're here.
Right. All right. Let me ask you this. Let me get back to it. And no, I haven't watched too. I haven't been on Facebook too much because I've been.
You're a lucky man, my friend.
I've been working on this nonstop. I took a little break. Even my camera's a little blurry right now, and I don't know. Maybe that'll help a little bit. I don't know. And I know this, you talked earlier about TV cops and this, that, and the other. We've been watching reruns of Blue Bloods, and that's it's a very well written show.
It is.
And one of the episodes, it was talking about moving Jamie up or doing this something and whatever, but he liked being on the beat. He liked being a beat cop. He liked being in a radio car. So I mean, I know MPD's got officers that feel the same way, that they feel like their purpose, their place is on the streets daily. Every time they put the uniform on.
Oh, some people, if you put them behind a desk, that would be like, it would just
That's a
kill them.
death
And
sentence.
yeah, yeah, really. I mean, so we have developed with the department, and we're kind of working on so we have more of a dual path. So
Right.
if you want to stay on the street, and kind of move up, there's a way to do that. Or if you want to go more investigative, because in our role, our sergeants are detectives.
Right.
So you end up being an investigator, but it's two different things, just as important. People ask me, they say, what TV show captures what it's like to be a police officer? I say it's a mix. I don't know if you ever watched The Wire. There's
I didn't.
show about cops and the drug situation in Baltimore. It's awesome. There's that show, and then Reno 911. So it's
Oh, good Lord.
It's some kind of mix of serious hardcore stuff and just the silliest, because to do this kind of work, you have to have a sense of humor,
Right.
because if you're not laughing, you're crying.
Right.
And in fact, one of the things that we learned in the academy was, like, when you're on the scene of something really horrible, they told us, don't be seen laughing on camera. And the reason that'll happen sometimes, it's not because officers don't care or they're evil or anything. It's just, it's a coping mechanism, because
Right.
you've just seen or dealt with something that no human should. And so, some dark humor can come out, or you talk about something else, but it's a real weight. And so you see you hear a lot of fun. There's a lot of funny guys on the department, but a lot of that humor is to kind of help cope with some of the serious things that you see.
Right. Well, the ones that have been on the streets for, say, 10 or 15 years. I mean, and that's, I mean, I guess it is. I guess they have the option. I mean, if they take the sergeant's exam or this, that, and the other, to move up or what?
Because there was a lawsuit back in the 2000s, the 90s really, that about the test being biased, racially biased, whatever, and it froze. They eventually lost that case, and the test was not biased, but it froze promotions for about 10 years there, and you had people stuck in patrol. I know it sounds bad to say stuck in patrol, but maybe like 17, 18 years. That's a lot, Dean. That
is a lot.
Not
unless they just want to be there.
Yeah, and there's some that do, without question, and they have a real calling for it, and they're good, and they love doing that. But some wanted to move up, and luckily, through a lot of things we've done and working with the city, we're creating those opportunities. But yeah, that's a long time, because even people in the military get to go home from tours every now and then.
Right.
But here you're always on duty. It never really stops. And I'll say this: in the past 5 years, we've lost 9 officers to line of duty deaths. That's one of the highest numbers in the nation.
Over the last how long?
5 years. Think
9
about
in 5 years.
How many jobs do you know people in the last 5 years have lost 9 coworkers? And it's from everything. We had some COVID, some shot, automobile accidents, hit by, every conceivable way an officer could be hurt has happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, the library up there on Poplar. I mean, Officer Red, wasn't that his name?
Yeah, Officer Red, and I knew him. He was one of the guys who helped train me when I came on.
Right.
Amazing man. And yeah, that was just, talk about a routine call. But there's no such thing.
There is no routine call, is there?
There's not. And it's such a devastating tragedy. And he was with a rookie who had been on, I want to say, just a couple weeks. And, I can't go too much detail, but I will say that rookie reacted brilliantly and saved lives in that library by his quick, decisive action.
Right.
And I was so proud of him, but it was heartbreaking. But things like that, and people, when you get pulled over, you're sitting there in your car thinking, "Here, I'm Dean Franklin. I'm a good guy. And you think the officer knows that. We don't know what we're walking up on. So if officers are kind of, looking or not joking around with you, whatever, a lot of times it comes from that. You don't know what you're walking into.
Oh, well, I've had a lot of interactions, probably more tickets than I should ever have. But since
I've got a heavy foot myself on occasion.
Since getting my firearm permit and everything else, and I know, I think I'm saying the truth whenever I say I don't have to let the officer know that I'm carrying.
Hmm.
but I do anyway, because I don't want, like you said, you don't know who they're walking up on. I don't know if he's having a bad day or whatever. So,
Sure.
you know, I
One of
immediately
the,
tell them my driver's license. If I don't have it out, my driver's license in my right hand side, my firearms on my right hand side. I'm not going for my gun.
and that's appreciated. I pulled over this female, and she was a younger female, and I don't know how she felt about police generally, but I walked up and she kind of defensively said, I just want to know, I have a gun in the car and I have a permit. I said, I'll make a deal with you. You don't go for yours, I won't go for mine. We should be fine. She said, do you need the gun? I was like, no, I just keep your hands up there and we're cool. You know,
Right.
we're
Right.
I'm not here. I'm glad you have a gun, to be honest. In this town, I would encourage everybody to don't be scared, but be prepared
Right.
in this city. And so I'm a big believer in people. Hell, when I take the trash down to the street, even in Arlington, I like to have a gun on me. You never know. You just never know.
Well, yeah, that's another story for another podcast with Richard Archie about going with the intent to go armed. Because I do it every day. Circling back around to the officers that's been in patrol cars for 10, 15 years or however long, are they getting pay raises even if they stay in the patrol car, or are they, I mean, are like brand new sergeants, say a brand new sergeant comes in, are the sergeants making more than this patrol officer that's been on the force for 15 years in a patrol car?
They are. But I'll say this, when I first got elected down at the MPA back in 2018, 19, when I first got down there, we were at the bottom here in the department in pay, which is hard to believe. In the last few years, we've gotten about 30% in raises. And that sounds like a lot, but that has gotten us to number one, barely. And when MPD answers about 1 million calls per year, the closest to us is about 150,000 per year.
Right.
And so to your question, we have done a lot in that direction of increasing pay. We just need to make sure our pensions, healthcare, we need to do some bumps in that, and want people to choose to do this as a long-term career. Because some of the younger officers, they come in, I don't know that they see jobs as careers anymore. This is do something for a little bit and move on. And so it's very different. But yeah, we've made a lot of strides in that area, and some stride. I think Shelby County is like number 3 right now in pay, and that's just unacceptable as well.
Well, yeah, for the job that you do. I mean, teachers, first responders, those people should be making the money. I mean,
having done both, I'm in total agreement with you. You know? I like to pick careers where we're not paid enough.
Right? Yeah, no kidding.
I'll do it for the money. I'm certainly not running for county commission for the money.
For the money.
Yeah. People call it a part-time job, and if it ain't going to be a part-time job for me, because to do it right, that's going to be a full-time job. It should be. Yeah,
it should be. It should be. And now let's move over to the county commission side of it, or whatever. And if people don't know, the county commission has absolutely nothing to do with MPD. They deal with now they do deal with the sheriff's department, but the sheriff's department, its own entity. But the Shelby County Commission does take care of budgets, or budget oversight, and several other things. Correct, for the Shelby County Sheriff's. Okay,
absolutely. Things. When it comes to the officers, things about being able to restore, because they took it away, to restore line of duty retirements. But yeah, it's a lot of the contracts, a lot of the regulations over different things, but really they hold the purse strings,
right?
And an important, extremely important position. And this drives me crazy. For 5 years, the Shelby County has not had a balanced budget. Have you heard anything about? I didn't hear anything about that until recently, and it blows my mind. Where are the Republicans? And I'm not calling names, but we should have known about this. People should have been screaming this from the rooftops, but I'm just hearing about it now. That's going to change if I get elected.
Well, I hope so, because I mean, there's a lot, as a civilian, as a taxpayer, as a still very green, jumping into the the Republican GOP and this, that, and the other. I'm still learning a whole lot, but I mean, my eyes have not been closed for a long time. I mean,
Right.
I see things. I've gone to some of the county commission meetings. I've gone to the Memphis City council meetings or whatever. And a lot of the times, and I don't want you to be this person to sit up there and pontificate and you
Yeah.
know, the Memphis City Council meetings, you go into those and you watch some of those people while citizens of Memphis are talking to them, trying to give them, you know, information and their plight and this, that, and the other, and they're all up there checking their watch or playing a game on their
Oh yeah.
phone, or it's ridiculous. Now, I will say the commission, the meetings that I've been to, the Shelby County Commission, have been a lot more, a lot better, where they give their full attention to who's up at the podium or this, that, and the other. But
No,
you know,
it's irritating, and you can tell because I've had important business up in front of city, mostly some of the county, and you can tell when they haven't bothered to even look into it or learn about it, and they're
right,
just, or you see things going on that's pretty clearly some insider BS. The decision's already been made, and then you have some real questions, but where's the accountability? And a lot of times there's no transparency, no accountability. They make these decisions, and it gets frustrating, and I'm tired of it. So God forbid, my goal is to never be that person, and to be that voice. Like, I'm an advocate for officers, an advocate for the voters, and to be that voice out there sounding the alarm,
right,
and saying, hey, pay attention, come up here, raise a ruckus, even if it's every meeting, because we cannot slide into decay and destruction and radicalism. It just can't happen.
right. Lisa popped a couple of questions up. She said, will you hold the elected clerk's accountability for the collection of revenue? I'm not sure.
Man, we know how well that office is being run. And, Lisa ran, and God, the county really, if she had been elected, we'd be in such better off, because she's somebody with integrity. But yes, you have to hold these people accountable, and you have to be a voice. You got to pound the table, and it's just not okay just to let it roll on by. And too often, I think that happens. And a great example of somebody I've learned a lot from is Brent Taylor. He refuses to be quiet. He's out there letting be heard. And I will be the exact same way when it comes to these important issues. People say, hey, Covington, when are you going to shut up? Well, when's the Lawn Ranger going to take his mask off when crime's been defeated on the West? And the job never stops,
Right.
So you keep going,
right.
because it's important. It matters. And, the people, they deserve that.
Right. Well, since with your law enforcement under your belt and everything like that, say you're District 1 on this chair and this, that, and the other, and a deputy, since y'all will be dealing with sheriff's department and things like that, but say a deputy
Sure.
came to you privately and said something nefarious was happening, not politically, but ethically.
Right.
How would you handle that? If he came to you because he knows you're former law enforcement and trusts,
I would do what I do now. I would protect that person's identity at all costs, but I would dig into it and either find one or two things. One, they don't have all the information,
right,
and they don't, or they're right, and then that's a problem. And then God help the people who are doing the malfeasance, because I'm coming after you, the powers that be that coming after you, and I will not let somebody, especially in a position like that, or any position, who points out something wrong.
right.
I'm not going to let the person be, because too often people are afraid to say anything.
Right. I mean, who are they going to go to? I mean,
that's right. And with me, hey, I got you. You're protected. And I'm saying, I'll be fair, and I just don't take somebody's word. If somebody brings something to me, it's like, let me dig in and find out. But boy, if I find out there's something really wrong going on,
right.
God help the person who's doing it.
All right, I have to ask you this question because I've asked you before, and other people have asked me the question because I do know you and I'm friends with you on Facebook and this, that, and the other. But is the MPA or MPD, one or the other, are they still endorsing a particular county mayoral candidate who opposed the Memphis Safe Task Force and the National Guard?
They are, and it was MPA. And I'll say this: when I got there, we started endorsing differently. started endorsing Brent Taylor, Worth Morgan, all these Republicans you see, David Lenore. I am not part of the PAC committee because I'm running for office. That was not my decision. I will be supporting the Republican nominee that comes out and working very hard for them.
Right.
I would like for the MPA board to reconsider that endorsement. And, you know, as I say, I've been recused from all that. And let me put it this way. I would love to see a change, and I'm doing what I can to try to affect that change, because that's not who I support.
Well, how did the people that you just run into on a daily basis, or this, that, know that you're with the MPA and and officers that you deal with every day, how do they square with that? What have you heard? I mean, have you heard more negative?
Well, you hear some both ways, and you know that some of it comes from battles, you know, with city administration or whatever, and it gets into like insider Memphis politics.
Right.
But, you know, ultimately, I don't think you can make decisions based on kind of short-term goals. You know, you have to make decisions based upon deeply held beliefs. And that's where I am, you know, and as I say, that is an over 20-person board. And that's not where my allegiance or support lies. And,
right.
And so it's frustrating. Yeah, you know, that's all I can say. And I would be overjoyed to see a reconsideration of
right.
that. And and I'm hoping too that we will see a Republican, and this is not to denigrate whoever may have thrown their names in for Shelby County mayor.
Right.
I would love to see a really strong, known Republican throw their name in to the hat, and I think that could certainly change some minds, to be honest. So
I kind of like Mick Wright. I've always liked Mick Wright. I think he'd make an excellent Shelby County mayor, but that's just my opinion.
I love Mick Wright. I got a lot of respect for Mick.
I do too.
I think he'd be a mayor too. You know what? Tell you what, let's go over to his house now. And,
is he in Arlington?
All right, buddy, you're not leaving. No, I think Mick, and when I say, somebody known who's really always stood for the right things, Mick Wright is a perfect example.
I think so too.
It would be great, you know, and we have good people. It would certainly make it easier for me to argue my point if we had somebody to emerge, you know. So
yeah, if we had a Republican county mayor, absolutely.
So in answer, I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can, and I don't. One of the beauties of our organization is that it's not a dictatorship, and that board really does run things. And sometimes I agree, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I advocate for things, and I'm able to. Let me put it this way: when I was heavily involved in that process, you can look at my record, and it's all a total switch in who we were endorsing. Right. John Gillespie, Brent Taylor, David Lenore, all these, Worth Morgan, Amy White. God, I worked so hard on those campaigns. Don't even get me started on the
right.
But since I've not been involved, it has not been. It's not been quite the same.
All right, I've got one last question for you.
Sure. And
it's for the voters.
Yeah.
All right. I promise I did not get any of this from Chat GPT. Look, setting up this podcast and people telling me what to use and where to go and what kind of equipment to use and things like what I'm using right now to stream everything out, the Restream.
Can we do another one of these where I just ask you questions about the process of trying to set up something like this? Because I'm fascinated I know how much work you put into it.
Well, because I first started talking about it in September of last year, and everybody's like, "When are you going to get it? When are you going to get it?" I'm like, "I'm working on it." And I talked to Todd Starnes about it one day, and he said, "Well, it's just not as easy as you think it is. I mean, people think you just sit behind a camera or whatever, and sit behind a microphone and talk or whatever." And he said he had what's his name, Tim Burchett on. Tim wanted to do a show. And as soon as the light came on, said recording, Tim was like a deer in the headlights. He just froze. He just froze up. And I love Tim Burchett. He's so funny.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's
dadgummit. But
well, isn't asking Todd Starnes advice like asking Tom Brady questions on how to play football? You know, like Todd has got so much.
He's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, he's good at it.
Well,
but yeah, you never know. Yeah, I mean,
that's why I said I've got to give these two guys with it. And if you don't follow the Patriot Punk Network, they're on Facebook, they're on Rumble, they're on several other things, but their biggest page is I mean, they have podcasts on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights, and they do mostly probably from Middle to Eastern Tennessee, but they're hard and heavy on the stuff. And I mean, they're talking about local politics, and they're not talking about Minnesota. They're not talking about California. They're not talking about anywhere but Tennessee. And that's what I want to cater to here with the Memphis and Shelby County. There's nothing we can do about what's going on in Minnesota. Not here in Memphis.
Thank you. You nailed it. So many people I meet have passionate opinions about national politics.
Right.
But when you ask them about local, they don't seem to, but that's where the rubber hits the road. And so, yeah, I'm glad that is your focus, because it needs to be. Well,
I mean, that's where you start. If you're wanting to get involved in anything, this is where you start. You start local, and then you start working your way, you know, city, county, state, and from there. But I mean, you have to start local. And I want to give a shout out to Kristen Hicks, who's going to be, you know, she's up for, I think the fourth vice chair.
Right.
So, but kind of got sidetracked for a minute. But your promise, what promises do you make from politics as usual on the county commission? Because I mean, I've already heard a couple of people talking, and all it sounded like to me was,
yeah,
well, why fix it if it ain't broke? It's, you know, it's everything's running smoothly. Well, we've had a county mayor that hasn't shown up for 7 years, and then they bring in the National Guard and he loses his mind.
Yeah, he's been like, where you're looking for him on a milk cart.
Looking for Waldo.
Yeah,
where's Waldo?
And when 5 years of budgets that don't add, I don't know about you, but I have to make the budget balance here at the house. You know, our county should. You've got crime seeping in. You've got federal indictments. You've got $43 million shortfall. The number one county in the country for population loss. And you tell me, if anybody who says, well, you know, it's going fine, let's keep going down the path. The definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing and hoping for better results.
Absolutely.
And I hate it too, because it's not rocket science. You know, I go into this knowing it's going to be a lot of hard work, a thick skin, honesty, and being available to the people. And, you know, that's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take me away from my family. My daughter's the most important thing to me, but to ensure her future, it's worth it to me.
Right. Well, John, that's all I got, man.
Well, Dean, man, you did an awesome job. I'd love to come back. I know you got lined up, but I look forward to getting back with you again. I really enjoyed this.
Well, I hope that you become the, you know, if you become the person for the Republican chair, I will definitely be putting my name in for you.
Thank you, sir. Hey, and once you get rolling and get real hot, if you need to take a vacation, I'll happily voluntarily sit in for you.
All right. Absolutely. John, you have a good evening, man.
You too, my friend. God bless you. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye.